This is our difference. I see it as, Howdy.
Howdy, I'm Haruki.
Ashley.
We talked about a little bit about it before we started filming it, but we probably we seemingly have quite different, type of studying.
Different characteristics.
So
how would you describe your study style?
Efficiency.
Yeah, that's how you describe your life, basically.
Perhaps. I still procrastinate though. Yeah, but yes, I pursue. So let me begin with mine. How I study languages. I mostly use device, iPad, iPhone for study. Most of the time, I rarely use textbook recently. So this is my philosophy, but I think when it comes to studying languages, the most vital thing is vocabulary. Even if you don't know the grammar, as long as you know enough amount of vocabulary, enough number of vocabulary, you can still talk. Like I tonight beef want. You can understand me, right? The same as Japanese. Order is not very, very important at all, maybe. So I place emphasis on vocabulary. So when I mostly study vocabulary every single day the English. So how I study vocabulary specifically is using Anki. So why is Anki effective? This is designed for active learning. There are two components of it. First, active recall, and the second, spaced repetition. Active recall is basically you are going to answer quizzes. If you open the Anki, you can see the English words. If you tap it, then answer will pop up. Then you can tap, I don't know what difficult, normal, or very easy. And the next step would be spaced repetition. If you tap hard, then probably it will automatically pop up maybe tomorrow. But if you tap easy, it'll pop up probably next week or next month. Also, I watch YouTube in English, like TED Talks or American YouTubers explaining it. My favorite is productivity, like how to not to procrastinate or something like that. Then through watching them, I will first find the words that I don't know. Then I take a screenshot of it. Then I add it to Anki. That way I can recall the vocabulary of meaning of vocabulary with the situation, the video, the word was used. And I, of course, call with Ashley every single night. And I sometimes read books in English. Very sometimes, though.
I said very sometimes. You could say rarely.
Rarely.
I know the difference. I know it's not hardly. Rarely.
Hard?
No,
rarely.
Rarely.
Rarely. Everyone see it? Ashley is very good teacher, so I can, she corrects me every single time when I mistake. So it's really very, helpful.
You're so. Sounds like kibishi.
What?
That every time I correct you, right? It's not really technology based. I prefer having things in front of me that I can feel. And part of that, I think, is if I'm on my computer or my phone, I can get very easily distracted by that. And so then, I get a work email that I have to answer real quick. And then that leads into all my other things that I have to do. And so if I can shut off the technology, it helps me focus in because I get very easily distracted. But my main word I would use to describe my study style is chaotic. There's no rhyme or reason. It usually has to do with whatever I feel is my weakest strength in Japanese that day. For example, if I had a lesson with my Japanese tutor and I was not able to really understand what she was saying very clearly when she was speaking at a native level, then I like to watch Japanese TV shows or movies, and I also like to translate music. There's a lot of people. Majiko is one of my favorite artists for that because she enunciates well enough, and Hirairai, because he makes it in English. So those are good for me to study with. And who is it? Michael Fujita.
Michael Fujita. Yeah. Okay, I don't know.
She's from the 2000s, but that works well for me. But so my main focus is on growth areas, and I'm very data driven. Data motivates me. So things like, I'm going to learn 100 words this month, or I will master 5 grammar structures. I'll write 20 pages in Japanese. that sort of thing motivates me and gets me to sit down and do it. I also don't often use textbooks. I only use them for reference. I prefer to use media and culture that just any Japanese person might run into and consume. I don't like using materials for learners very often, only rarely.
Right. But I only use textbook when I study for like TOEIC,
Yeah,
Like-
I usually use it. I used it when I was in school. Kanji is the only one I need it for. I have my kanji. But my favorites, I have this website that posts stories with audio as well in Japanese. Satori Rido. That's a really good site. I love it. I'm subscribed to it actually, because that helps me hear it at a native speed with multiple different voices and different formalities and dialects and things like that. So it's really helpful for me to understand how you would speak to people at different formal levels and things like that. And so I like that one. When I watch TV shows and movies, I watch them on Netflix. And so I use LLN, which is Learn Languages Netflix, so I can see Japanese and English subtitles at the same time. That helps me a lot too.
Netflix? I really want that, like, subtitle which can show like English and Japanese at the same time. I really want that, but that should be really helpful.
Yeah, it's LLN.
Because
I
you can
love it.
compare,
I recommend it all the time.
But I'm not subscribed. I don't subscribe for Netflix, so.
I would let you use mine, but it would know we're in different countries and it wouldn't let it happen. You need to be in the same country. Hold on. When I move to Japan, we can get a Netflix account. Then my main goal with Japanese is really just communication and understanding. I don't want to just be able to say a simple sentence, right? Like, I want to be able to use the right cultural tones and understand things like folklore. I'm reading a book right now. I'm on Yuki Onna is what I'm reading right now. Like, I want to know these different cultural flashpoints. Yeah, that's how I study. And I use Anki as well for vocabulary.
That's good.
So quite different.
I think that's, I thought that's good that you were emphasis on, like, you put emphasis on a conversation rather than like must drink GLPD or whatever. Because, a main trap a lot of smart people fell into is that, they can understand a lot of difficult, sentences and they can get really high score on GLPD, but they can't, speak well, actually. It happens in Japan a lot.
And then, of course, you also help a lot. We mostly speak in English. I do want to speak more in Japanese that we both forget. I'll try your very organized way for a week, and you try my very chaotic way for a week.
なるほど。
What do you think?
That's interesting. Like, なるほどね。
Does that mean no? Are you scared of being behind an Anki? I can see the stress on your face.
You were doing like textbook study. Then if you make a mistake on question, you can take a picture of it. Then you can add to Anki. Then you can review in the future. You will never forget it because the machine will automatically remind you to study. But if you are not adding to Anki, you may probably forget it or you may throw it away.
I see it as, if it's not a word I'm going to actually use anyway, then I don't need to know it.
That's why I like to use YouTube. Then take a screenshot of it, then Anki, because it's actually used.
I mean, like, if I'm not using it myself, then I don't need to know. It's not applicable to my life. And like, I absorb a lot of media and culture, and I read the news in Japanese and things like that. And so if it's not going to come up in any of those sources, social media, television, real conversations, real people, or like the news, then probably it's not going to come up, which I'm okay with. But I mean, for me, it can be very stressful to have things like digital flashcards. So if I can't see the amount, it's hard for me to visualize. That's why I do like a sticky note system for my to-do list. It helps me understand how many there really are. Does that make sense? And so if it's just like, to me, having 5 cards to study and 50 cards to study feels the same. But having 70 cards to study and having 200 cards to study also feel the same. So it quickly can feel overwhelming to me. Usually I'll add words that I'm actively learning, and then once I learn it, I would delete that down.
Yeah. What? That's no. That's もったいない. How do you say もったいない? Wasteful?
It's not
Because-
wasteful.
It is because you know what? Qualification. あの
You're so frazzled by
no.
this.
あれだよ.
ごめんなさい. Qualification is not the same as being able to use it. It's not equivalent to skill level or true knowledge.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Then if you deal with all of them, like 1 year later, most of them you would forget most of them, according to the brain function. So your effort would be wasteful. You put a lot of effort onto Anki or, memorizing things. But if you deal them, you know what I mean?
Well, here's the thing. I don't study the word kuramono, right? Because I've studied it in the past. And then my brain remembers it even though I don't actively study it anymore. It's the same thing. If I learn it for JLPT and 2, I don't need to study that anymore. I already have it in my head.
But for example, of course, kudamono is very, very basic. You should, it should be in your brain. But for example, like rectify, you don't really use it, right? But I remember it because of Anki. But 例えば suppose that I did it, then I forgot the meaning of rectify, even though I studied in the past. Then if I encounter the word of rectify in books, then I need to look it up again.
And that would take less time than studying it again and again with Anki.
No, I don't think so.
This is our difference. I see it as, the urgent importance index? The urgency importance index. That's how I am with learning.
わかるよ. I know. だけど But you can prioritize in Anki because if you think, oh, this is too easy or this is not very important words to me, then you can add easy. Then it'll, next year or 2 years later. If you think it's important, if you want to review again and again, then you can just difficult a week later. What do you think?
Like, I know that's how it can work, but
Okay.
Are you gonna break up with me now? Is that the end?
Yeah. Bye bye.
Oh my goodness. And look,
It's okay.
you wouldn't like my way of studying either.
例えば just randomly choosing topics.
It feels random, but it's not fully random. It's based on whatever I think my weakness is at that point. And so that changes every day, whatever it is. And so I don't have a set plan. It's like, oh, you know what? Recently, I've been forgetting kanji. I'm going to go study kanji. Or I haven't written anything in a while. Let me go write a paper in Japanese. So it's very spontaneous and disorganized, which is also why things like having a lot of Anki cards doesn't work for me because it doesn't fit with my spontaneous study plan. Like, I can have a few cards in Anki, but I use that as like my focus. Like, those are my focus cards. Shinderu?
I'm listening.
You look very suspicious.
大丈夫。
Are you amazed I've learned as much as I have?
It's probably similar as minimalism. We have different goal, we have different, standpoint. So understanding each other is important,
I absolutely understand the way you do it, and I think that's probably the way that works best for most people. My brain just doesn't let me do that. It gets bored.
I will teach you once you come to Japan.
No, you don't need to teach me. I like my way.
I will brainwash you.
No, your eyebrow. I like my way. Remember, you just said we have to understand each other?
Yes.
By that, do you mean I have to understand you? This is my way. You have to accept it.
Yeah, I like you just the way you are.
Thank you. I don't know if that's true, but I appreciate it.
It's true. Trust me.
But I'm gonna make a plan for kanji, and I will hopefully learn a lot. And when we speak Japanese, it'll start to become smoother. Hopefully.
Yeah.
What's your goal for English?
Thank
by
you.
the way?
Smooth communication. I can understand without asking, can you say that again? I can enunciate, then they will understand smoothly or whatever, something like that. Also be able to understand, movie とか YouTube とか TV show とか and books. So thank you everyone for watching till the end.
Thank you. Bye.
I love you so much.
Love you.
Bye bye.
美味しい